What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and today I'll be talking about the U.S. men's national team striker situation. And this is something that's gotten a lot better over the last few months. We've gone from maybe like a Jordan Pefok having a good month, Haji Wright was hitting form in Turkey, and now we can add to that conversation Josh Sargent, he's been playing great, Ricardo Pepi's found his form in the Netherlands, and Haji Ferreira is still coming off an 18-goal season. We've got a lot of positives to talk about. The striker position, I still don't think it's as strong as the rest of the team, but I don't feel like it's the liability that it probably was in June, let's say. And yeah, I think we can talk about who I would have in this team, starting and coming off the bench. My starter for this team is Josh Sargent, and that's for a variety of reasons. He is a player who's a very complete striker, at least at our level. He can combine with the midfield, he can pick out a good pass, and he can press very well. The only issue with him has been his goal scoring at the highest level. And thankfully for us, at least in the group stage, we're not going to be playing at the highest level. I think our most important game is going to be our game against Wales. And if you look at that Welsh back line, aside from Ben Davies, Ethan Ampadu, Nico Williams, Joe Rodon, Connor Roberts, that's a championship level back line. And I think Josh Sargent will be able to score against them. So when you add that, he's going to be able to score, he can press, he can combine, he does everything that you want a striker to do. And I think for our current situation, he's our best option to be a starter. Jordan Pefok will be there coming off the bench, and with Pefok, I feel a little bit bad for him because I think he's our best overall striker. What he does with his strength, his skill, his scoring ability, I think it's above everybody that we have. But just with our current team, I look at Pulisic, he's probably going to be cutting inside. He's not going to be putting in crosses. Tim Weah can, but I think we want him scoring more goals. Dest, he can put in a cross, but he likes to go inside as well. And our only real crosser who gets them in consistently is Jedi Robinson. And I feel like even though he crosses a lot, he's not a real threat with his crossing ability. So I don't feel like the aerial ability of our strikers is going to be as big of a deal. Though if we have a Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long back line, then we will just be kicking it forward a lot. So having a big striker would be important there, but I don't think that's how I would play with our team. That being said, Pefok should be with us, in addition to just his great goal-scoring ability. His size and strength make him a big mismatch threat off the bench. I think Wales and England will be able to handle him, but maybe that Iran game, having him come off the bench would be pretty big. And hey, maybe the knockout round as well. We don't know if they'll be able to deal with him well. So overall, I feel like Pefok, I wouldn't have him starting, but he's just too good of a player to leave at home, and he could be a huge threat for us off the bench. Then that last striker spot is probably the toughest decision to make, and I mentioned this when I did my World Cup roster at the beginning of the month, that I think the striker position is probably the most flexible, and the one big change I have in that is Ricardo Pepi's coming into the team over Haji Wright for me. This is a tough choice, but with Pepi scoring at just an amazing rate in the Netherlands, and combining that with everything he does well and his potential, his hold-up play is very good as a striker. He can combine well, and the only real thing against him was his goal-scoring form, because he was not putting the ball in the back of the net for almost a year. But now that it's really getting going again at a pretty high level in the Netherlands, I think we can trust him. And then I look at Haji Wright, I don't want to leave him off the team because I think he's a good player, but he is scoring at probably a lower level in Turkey, and while he's been in form for a really long time, I don't think he's going to be a starter over Sargent, and with that, I don't think he's a lethal weapon off the bench like Jordan Pefok. While he is a big player, he doesn't really use his size to his advantage. He's a completely different player than Pefok, and with that, you have to consider Ricardo Pepi's potential. He's still eligible for our U20 team and might be our best prospect we have at the moment. A player who could quite easily become a Champions League level player in the future. And I don't see that potential for anybody else, at least not a really good Champions League player. So because of that, I really want to bring Ricardo Pepi. We can get him the experience. I don't think he's a drop-off over Haji Wright. And this does leave Haji Ferreira off the list, and I'm fine with that. I like him as a prospect. I think he could be a very good player in the future, but up front for our national team, it's a bad idea. He is unreliable in front of goal. Not that anybody on this team is truly lethal, a prolific striker, but Ferreira has missed so many opportunities, both in the national team and recently he hasn't been playing great in Dallas in the playoffs. And because of that, I don't think I can justify bringing him in as a striker. He does combine the midfield well, but so does Sargent. And if we really need that, we can play a Gio Reyna as a false nine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I think his natural position is a 10 anyway, but even at that 10 position, I would prefer to have Aronson. I'd prefer to have Reyna. And I think what it came down for me is him and Malik Tillman. And I end up going with Malik Tillman over Hayes Ferreira in the midfield. And, like, I think Hayes Ferreira deserved to call up in May, and he didn't take his opportunity. And, like, that's it. He should not be with the team anymore. He's still a very good prospect. He's got an exciting future. But at the current moment in time, he should not be in this team. Right now, I would bring Josh Sargent, Jordan Pefok, and Ricardo Pepi to the World Cup. I think they provide everything that we want out of a striker in addition to causing the mismatches that we could exploit. And I'm not too excited about this position. I mean, I'm bringing Sargent because he's a good championship goal scorer. That's not anything to be truly excited about. I think Ricardo Pepi's got a good amount of potential. And even if he wasn't scoring right now, I'd be excited about him. But overall, it's going to be tough for our strikers to score goals, like even in the best situation. But considering we have Berhalter managing us, like it's going to be tough. It comes down to players having individual moments more often than not, than our team being fluid enough to score goals. So I think that striker is going to be a pretty big weak point for us, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have a striker score a goal this World Cup. Honestly, I'd probably be surprised if we did have a striker score a goal. I think that's more likely. But I think there is a good amount of quality in this field. Like, Josh Sargent, he's a good player. Pefok has been doing amazing in the Bundesliga. And Ricardo Pepi's got a ton of potential. Like, there are reasons to be excited for this team. But keep in mind, like, it's a striker position in a team that's going to be struggling to score goals. So you can only be so excited, but if things go perfectly, who knows what could happen? I mean, somebody could hit form. Crazier things have happened at the World Cup. And yeah, that's all I really have to talk about. Hopefully we can get some goals out of this group, and yeah, see you.